Hey guys, what is up? Today I'm going to share with you another portable power station option when you don't have any power, the Pecron E1000. Details coming up on RV Street. Okay, let's get right to it. Before I get into this review of the E1000, I want to clarify why I decided to do this review on this unit. In the past, I have never ever done any review for any product from any company where they send me something for free. Everything that I use in my RV and in my videos, I buy with my own money. But back in February, when I did that video on my Blue Eddy, a representative from Pecron contacted me and they said, hey, would you be interested in doing a video and a review on one of our big units? So I went to their website, I looked at all their different units and all the specs and kind of did all that research, and I came back to them and I said, well, no, I'm not really interested in one of your bigger units, but I spotted this baby on your website, the E1000. And after looking at all the specs and the price and everything, I'm like, wow, this thing is a perfect competitor to the popular Jackery 1000 that costs a whole lot more money. So I said, yeah, I'll do a review on the E1000 if you want. And also you need to send me some solar because I want to do a full-blown review of this thing because solar is important to RVers. So they agreed and they sent me this E1000 and some solar. I believe everybody, including RVers, should have some kind of emergency power, especially in these days. We got forest fires and brownouts, and you don't know when the grid's going to go down. Someone hacks something, and all of a sudden, you don't have any power. So having emergency power in my world is a very important thing to have. Now, of course, people like me, I have this big rig here and I have an onboard generator. And a lot of you have an onboard generator or possibly a portable one. But fuel is precious right now, right? It's precious and it's expensive. And sometimes you don't need to or want to fire up that big baby when all you need is just a little bit of power. Now, there were two main big things that jumped out at me right off the bat. Number one, this E1000 sells right now for $7.99 on Amazon, and sometimes Amazon offers a coupon with even more discounts. Pecron sells this for $6.99 on their website. The Jackery 1000 sells for $1,099. That's $400 more than this E1000. There just isn't any better unit of this size that packs this kind of power for $6.99. The other thing that leaped out at me was the form factor. It's flat on top. This is huge when storing or carrying this in any type of RV or transporting it in your car or truck where you have a lot of other gear. You can easily put stuff right on top of this E1000 or use the top as a table for your devices when you're charging them. You can't do this with a Jackery. Now I'm going to be showing you a lot of practical usages of the E1000 with appliances and cooking utensils, your computers, your phones, refrigerators, all that type of thing that you and I use every single day. But first, let's take a quick look at some of the specs. The E1000 has a 1,028 watt-hour lithium-ion battery with a 1,000 watt power rating and a 2,000 watt power surge rating. The battery in here will also still have 70% of its capacity after 1,000 cycles. The E1000 also has what they call pass-through charging. What that means is that you can be charging this thing while you're using it. And that's a big deal. A lot of these units will not let you do that. On the front, you have the main power button right here to turn it on. All of the input charging options are also here on the front. This first port right here, you charge with a cable that has a 4-pin connection here. Then over here, you have two quick charge 3.0 USB ports. And you use this multi-purpose cable right here for assorted 12-volt devices like hooking up a portable refrigerator or any device that has these kinds of other common pin connectors for other types of 12-volt devices. Other output ports are on the back. You have two 110-volt 3-prong outlets and two 110 2-prong outlets. And all power here is pure sine wave, so you don't have to worry about damaging your sensitive devices. These outlets are rated at 1500 watts with a peak power of 3000 watts. And here is the switch that you turn on to deliver power to these outlets. And actually, this is the best, clearest display screen I've ever seen. Now, as far as the size, I mean, you can see it's a very compact unit. Has a collapsible handle where it's flat, like I said, and this thing only weighs just a little over 24 pounds. Any one of you could handle this with no problem. Pecron has been in business for 10 years, and this thing comes with a 1-year warranty. Okay, so when you buy the E1000, they send you a pouch, a nice zipper pouch here, and this is what comes in the pouch. You first have your AC charger, and you plug it in, and it's even got a locking ring so you can't accidentally pull this thing out. And then you would simply plug this into a 110 outlet, and it'll charge this thing that way at about 220, 230 watts. Another item that comes in the pouch is this one. Again, you take the 4-pin connector, you put it in that input port, and this would plug into a regular cigarette lighter in your car or in the front of the motorhome or a place in your RV, whatever. This is 12 volt. Another one of the cables that comes with it, it's this 4-pin connecting cable that goes into the out port here. It has multiple pin connectors for assorted different 12 volt devices, and also kind of like a cigarette lighter, a cigar plug right here for like a refrigerator and those type of things. So the last cable that comes with this is the 4-pin cable with common MC4 connectors. I know a lot of you have solar panels out there with MC4 connectors, right? So you would just plug this 4-pin cable in there, run your solar cables to here, and that will be charging this unit with solar. Okay, that's enough of that. Yay! Now let's see how we can use this in an RV in real world situations. Okay, so this first test, let's just assume we have no power, right? We've lost power for whatever reason, a storm, the grid went down, whatever. And I want to take this E1000 and hook it up and bring power into the entire RV. I want to see if I can break this thing. Now we have a 50 amp motorhome. You might have a 30 amp pull behind trailer or a fifth wheel or a toy hauler. It doesn't matter. They all the same. We're going to hook this E1000 to the main power cord and let the E1000 feed the motorhome with power so we can operate things inside the RV. So let's get started. So what we have here is my 12-3 extension cord, and I have a 50 amp to 110 dog bone. I'm going to plug the dog bone into the extension cord, and then I'm going to take my main power cord and I'm going to hook it up into the dog bone. And the extension cord runs all along the length of the motorhome up to the front wheel well, and then it goes up underneath where I've installed a pass-through hatch. And here's my cord, and we're going to bring it up here and plug it into the back of the E1000. And now I'm going to turn on the outlet power with the switch on the back. Okay, after a couple of minutes, it has settled down. It's still settling down. Things are coming on, and it's finding its steady run wattage. Right now, we're drawing about 170 watts or so that is being poured into the motorhome. And we can see right now and verify that my battery converter is on. So we are now charging the batteries at 14.1. And as most of you know, we have a absorption refrigerator, and of course I've got that off. So we're going to turn that on, and you can see right now that we're running at about 438, 435, something like that. Again, whenever you turn something on, it's going to come on and then steady out at a certain wattage draw. So we have confirmed two things that are on right now, the battery converter and the refridge. Now let's move on to another thing to turn on. So I have a full-blown iMac, a tablet, a couple of hard drives, my little fan, and my light. And all of these items are plugged in to a surge protecting switch down there. And they are all run off of this one cord right here. So before I turn on the computer and stuff, I wanted to show you that we are currently now, the E1000 is feeding into the coach 414 watts. So let's plug this cord in. Okay, so, oh look there, RV Streets YouTube page. Yes, the light's on, the fan's on, the computer's on, my hard drives are on. Let's go look at the unit and see how much power it's pulling now. So right now the E1000 is feeding 583 watts into the RV. I can still recline in our couch, which is motorized. Now, the point of me showing you these things is that I wanted to show you the kind of load that this E1000 can handle. Now, in an emergency situation, you probably wouldn't be firing up all this stuff, and certainly not the big computer. You know, I'd be working on my laptop or something. But I'm trying to demonstrate how much load it can take. And in an emergency situation, right? The refridge is probably the most important thing, right? You may be out of propane. You may not be able to use propane, or you may be very low on propane and you want to conserve what you have left. By not turning on these bigger, higher draw items and just leaving that power reserved for the fridge. You could even turn off your battery converter if you needed to. You don't need to be charging the batteries, but if you do, yep, it'll do that too. You're not going to be able to use it for hours and hours and hours with this kind of a load, but it certainly might be able to save your fridge, your groceries, keep you warm by attaching a small little heater to it, and those kind of things. So just back to basics here. What we're running right now is we're running the battery converter. The house batteries are being charged. The fridge is on, and a few other little assorted things. And right now we are using 384 watts from the E1000 to feed the RV. But remember, we're just using power off of the E1000. What we want to do now is bring in some solar. So let's go do that. So right now it's 10 o'clock in the morning and we've got almost perfect skies. And I have set up one Pecron 200 watt solar panel. This is one that they sent me. And this one has your standard MC4 connectors with a nice long cord here. I haven't measured it yet, but it looks to be about 12 feet long. So I went ahead and connected it here with my MC4 extension cables and ran them up through the wheel well and then fed them up through my pass-through hatch. And here are the ends of the extension cable. This is the cable that comes with in that pouch. It comes with the E1000, right? So I'm going to take this cable and hook up the solar panel cable there. And before we plug this in, I want you to notice we are currently using about 380 watts or so, right, to feed in the RV. Now we're going to plug in solar. And immediately it dropped down to 271. So that's about 110, 120 watts or so coming in from solar. Now you'll notice there's no display that's showing me how much solar is coming in. It's just showing the output. So now, as I'm pumping power into the coach, I'm also bringing in solar to replenish. So that's going to extend a lot of runtime. I could even hook up two 200 watt panels out there, but I only have one to show you. Now this is charging with solar from an external source. Let me show you another way we can charge this thing from a different kind of external source. Well, you'll remember that I have this 500 watt Beztec inverter. And so you just hook up the heavy duty cables here, one to positive and one to negative with these alligator clips. Then take a second extension cord, plug it in the back here, and then turn it on. Then we're going to gently just put the hood down just like that. Now we're going to start the car. So the car's running and the inverter is on and we're plugged in. Let's go inside. Okay, so here's the other end of the extension cord coming from the 500 watt inverter. And this is the unit that also comes with the E1000. This is for AC charging. So I'm going to take the extension cord, plug it in, take this unit here, this little connector, and plug it in. And look at that, it immediately went down to 152 watts that this is being used. Let me unplug the inverter. You see the RV is now using 382. Plug the inverter back in using this AC brick, and now all of a sudden I'm only using 152 watts to power the RV. I'm bringing in about 220 watts or so of power to charge while I'm still using it in the RV. I just love having multiple ways of doing things. If one thing doesn't work, I can try another thing. If I have good weather, I can use solar. I just love having multiple options, but you guys know that. Now the second way you can charge the E1000 is by 12 volt in the car. This is the car charger that also comes with the E1000. So whenever you're going to the store, you're going sightseeing or whatever you're doing, just put this in the car and hook it up. You just unplug that input there again and plug it in. Take the other end with the cigarette lighter connector here and put it in here, and then start the car and go on your trip. You can see as soon as we start the car, it automatically starts bringing in power. See the battery being charged right here? It's currently bringing in 91 watts. So that's really convenient to be able to do that too. Just stick it in the back of the car and charge it while you're driving around. There are three ways that you can charge this. One, with AC power, plugging it directly into an outlet if you have electricity, right? The second way is 12 volt, like in your car and so forth. And the third way is solar. Another way you can charge the E1000 is with a portable generator. I mean, when you're running this generator for other things, you want to maximize that runtime, right? So we can charge the E1000 also with the AC brick. Just plug it in right here in the other outlet, and immediately the E1000 comes on, and we're putting in 231 watts. So it's the exact same thing as a wall socket, only you're using a generator. Lots of good stuff still coming up. But before I show you the other ways you can use the E1000, I just want to remind everyone that everything that I use in all of my videos is in my Amazon store. And the link to my Amazon store is
down there
in the description text. Using my Amazon store for everything you need, whether it's RV related or not, is a great way to say thank you, Martin. Thank you for taking the time to make these videos and helping the RV community. Joni and I just, again, cannot thank you enough for how many of you use our store and support us. So thank you so much. Okay, let's get back to the other ways we can use the E1000. So let's just say you're outside your RV or you're boondocking or whatever. You got your barbecue out here, you got your electric skillet that's plugged in, and while you're out here in the shade, heck, let's go ahead and charge our devices. And now here I have one 200-watt solar panel. I put on my Y cable here that comes with the E1000, and I take it and I just plug it in right here. So obviously, portable power stations like this can charge your devices. Like right here, I have my tablet, an iPhone, and my laptop. Now my laptop will not charge with USB. It has an electrical connection on the back. So I just plug that into the back and turn the switch on. So now I'm getting AC power and it's now charging the laptop. And charging these three devices right now, you can see it's jumping around about 75, 80 watts or so. I don't know how many of you have a toaster, but Joni and I do. Let's see if we can make a piece of toast. And right now it's pulling about 657 watts or so. Yep, It makes a piece of toast just fine. Now here's the test of all tests. Will it run a hairdryer? So the answer is yes, it's running at 765 watts, but I've got it on medium. But watch what happens when I turn it on high. It overloaded it. And listen to the alarm. So yes, it will run on medium. You could run this all the way till where the batteries went dead if you wanted to. But as soon as you put it on high, you know, these things pull a lot of watts, probably about 15, 16, 1700. And this will not handle that. All right, let's talk about heat. Those of you that follow my channel, you know you've seen this one before. This is an awesome little heater. We put this in our bedroom and close the doors, and it keeps us nice and toasty. The key to using this with a unit like this is you put it on 1 and you put it on low. And I have it plugged in the back in the AC outlet back here. You can see right now it's pulling 330, 340 watts. Now this is one of those devices, again, like a refrigerator. When this is in the bedroom, it'll come on, heat the room, and go off. Come on, heat the room, go off. It pulsates on and off. When you look at the wattage, you say, wow, 336 watts. That's only going to last you about 3 hours. Well, no, because it's going to be coming on and off all night long. It will run a small heater with no problem. What about an electric can opener? I'm not going to open up a can because we're going out to dinner tonight, and I don't want to eat out of a can tonight. But look there, 45 watts. So of course, it can run an electric can opener. This E1000 will run a Keurig coffee maker. It'll run a small hot plate, a 12-volt portable refrigerator, which I know a lot of you have. Can you imagine being without power for some reason? A storm came through and you couldn't use your CPAP machine? This E1000 will run that CPAP machine all night long with no problem. Okay, so here we are on the outside of the motorhome, and we have a absorption refrigerator. And let's take a worst case scenario, okay? We have no place to plug in for city power. We have no propane, and our house batteries are dead. So we can't use the inverter to run the refrigerator. We got groceries in there and very important medicine. How are we gonna run that fridge? First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take off this cover, and right here is the 110 plug for the fridge. Over here, I have the E1000 with an extension cord plugged in, and we're gonna take this plug and we're gonna unplug the fridge and we're gonna plug it into the extension cord. And now we're gonna turn on the 1000. Now let's go inside and turn on the fridge. Right there. Now this may not look very pretty, but it doesn't matter. We're running the fridge, saving our groceries and saving our medicine. If you have medicine in there that's important to you. We're pulling 272 watts. I mean, I could go on and on showing you different devices that this thing will power, but I think you get the point. Okay, let's talk about solar. As you've seen through all these different tests, all the charging is done through this port right here, and that includes solar. And this E1000 needs a minimum of 2 100-watt panels or 1 200-watt panel. But you can add more panels if you want. The voltage input range for solar is 21.4 volts to 40 volts. And the current input range is 0 to 20 amps. But let's take a look at the Pecron's solar panels. There are 2 models, the Aurora 100 and the Aurora 200. And here they are right here. We have the 100 and the 200. You can see by comparison the size. They both have easy press release latches that opens up, and on the back they both have a pouch where they have all the electronics where you plug them in the cables. But each one of these operates a little differently. So let's look at the Aurora 100 first. Okay, in the storage compartment here on the Aurora 100, this is what it looks like. You have the power cord here, and you get a little clip here with 3 different attachments. So you can just plug these different ones on here depending on what you need. and plug this directly into a 12-volt device that fits this type of pin connector. It also has a USB port right here. You got 3 different USBs. So you literally could deploy this solar panel and plug in different 12-volt devices and charge devices directly from here. Now, like I just mentioned, the E1000, it requires a minimum of 200 watts, so you would need 2 100 panels. Here's the 2 ends that you would have, and the way you connect these to the E1000 is you have to have an additional Y adapter right here. So you take the Y and you plug in one end there and one end in there to where you have both of the solar panels connected, and then this end goes into the solar input port on the E1000. So here are 2 100 panels deployed. They have 2 stands, 2 legs right here, and you can see about how wide they are, right? One thing I noticed right off the bat on these here, not only do they not have MC4 connectors, they have a pin type connector, and you have to use a Y to connect them, but look how short these wires are from the panels. I mean, they're only 3 feet long. So as I was thinking about this, I'm like, well, how are you supposed to charge with 100-watt panels this close to the E1000? That means this is going to have to be sitting out in the sun, and you don't want to do that. And the directions even say, do not stick this out in the sun. So I wrote Pecron back about that, and I said, so what do we do about this? He says, oh, I forgot. You're going to need an extension. You put one end of the extension on that end, and then put this end in. Now you have all of this. Now you can put the solar panels out in the sun, and this can be over in your party area, next to the RV, what have you. Another feature that I really liked is on the ends, both this end and this end here, they have these grommets right here. And the reason I like that is you can hang these. You can hang them this way. And I really like that option. That's how I've set up some of my other 200-watt panels, is just like this. And these solar panels, like most, are very easy to fold up. I found them easy to do that. You just fold that one over, bring that one over, and put in the 2 clasps. You just flip it over and fold in the cord. Okay, let's take a look at the Aurora 200. Quite a bit bigger, and if you look here, before I open it up, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 panels. When you flip it over and undo the pouch here, the electronics are a lot different. You'll notice that it does not have any USB separate charging ports here, like the 100 did. It also doesn't have any pins for other 12-volt devices. But it does have your standard MC4 connectors. And I really like these connectors. And look at this. Look at how long this cord is. It's 16 feet. I love that. So that right off the bat, out of the box, I can put the E1000 somewhere in the shade next to the RV, stick this out there 16 feet away out into the sun. I love that. But let's say that 16 feet's not long enough. The sun's way out there. That's why I carry 2 extra, a 20-foot and a 10-foot MC4 connector extension cables. So here is this 200 panel deployed. And you can see that it's about as far as my arms will go all the way out. So you got a lot of sun coverage here. And this one here has 4 different support legs instead of 2 with the 100. This one also has the grommets on both ends where you can hang it. But let's go see how we hook this thing up now. And this is the adapter that comes with the E1000. It's the 4-prong input plug and 2 MC4 connectors. You plug in there, so now you have the Y, and then you take this and put it right in there. So when you buy a 200-watt solar panel, they don't make you buy anything extra. You got long enough cords, and they provide this adapter. With 16 feet and this Y adapter, you've got about 19 feet that you can put this out in the sun. I think that was very smart of them to do that. To fold these up, you just lift them up and fold it in, fold it in, fold it over, and bring it around. Then you open up the pouch and fold in your cables. After working with both the 100 and the 200, I like this one better. For one obvious reason, this is only one panel. I don't have to mess with two panels. The second thing is that I really like the idea that they used MC4 connectors. So for those two reasons alone, this is my preference. And when I'm not using the portable solar, I just stick them in a bay. Nice and flat and light, don't take up much room. I love that. You know, I have never had a portable power station like this before, where I could just tote it around, you know, from place to place to place like we did in this video. And I told Joni after we were done doing all this testing, I said, you know, I really like this thing. It's just so convenient, and I really liked it. It was a really cool thing to have. Now, during all this testing, the fans on the side of this unit never came on. Of course, I don't think I ever really pushed it to the limit, like, you know, where they would cause those to come on. The one time it did get pushed to the limit was with the hair dryer, where, you know, when I put it on high, it kicked off. This couldn't handle that amount of wattage. And the alarm came on, but the fans never did. It always stayed cool throughout the days that we did all this testing. So that was impressive. I also really liked the size of this accessory bag. After everything is put in here, the AC, a brick, and the cables and all that, look how much room is still left in here to be able to put additional cables, like the extension cable and the adapters and so forth. And I thought, wow, that's really unusual. Most of these companies, I don't know about you, but when I bought the gear in the past, they give you this pouch and you can barely get stuff in there. And if you have anything extra that you buy, forget about putting it in the pouch. But I was really glad to see how they made this a large size. I also want to clarify a couple of things about the solar panels. Now, the first is on the 100 watt solar panel. If you buy two of these, remember I showed you I had to have that adapter that connected both of these in series? Well, that adapter is a DC 5521Y adapter. So if you order two of these, they will automatically ship you that Y adapter because they know you're going to need that. But if you buy one panel, they will not ship you that adapter. Now, if you want that extra long 4-prong extension cable to put these out further into the sun, you will have to buy that. And another thing about the 100 watt panels is I wish that they would have came with longer cables inside. They were only 3 feet long. So hopefully in the future they'll consider giving us longer cables and also MC4 connectors. If they do that, this will make these panels a lot easier to integrate with panels that you and I already have. Now on the 200 watt solar panels, if you buy one, you don't need to buy anything else. Everything is provided with the E1000 and the panel. However, if you buy two 200 watt solar panels, you're going to need a couple of extra adapters that are shown right here in this diagram, and that'll allow you to hook those up into parallel. On the E1000 itself, I kind of wished that when we were bringing in solar to charge it, it would have displayed the amount of watts that I was bringing in. I mean, it's not necessary, but that would have been a nice little feature to be able to see that. Now, sometimes, you know, you end up disappointed when you buy a piece of equipment or gear, right? But overall, I really like this unit, and it met my expectations of what I read online. It does have its output limits, as we saw for an example with the hair dryer. But overall, this baby packs a pretty good punch. If you need more power, well, you're just going to have to buy a bigger unit. It's just that simple. You know, I'm always looking and reading about products and gear that will help you and I, and save money. I mean, I'm all about saving money if I can. And even though the Jackery 1000 has a couple other features that this one doesn't, it certainly isn't worth $400 more in my book. This thing here being $400 less than the Jackery 1000 is still, after all this testing, is wow. I mean, this is a this is a great deal for what it delivers. I know this video's been a little long, but I like showing all the details and how you can use this thing on, on a regular basis, but especially in an emergency. So thanks guys for just sticking around. So until next time, this is RV Street. Stick around.